Hey, doubles for breakfast, burgers for breakfast. Why not even KFC for breakfast? Today is the day a lot of people have been waiting impatiently on, the day the restaurant and food businesses can reopen their stores, their storefronts, their van covers, if it's a doubles vendor, their umbrellas, whatever it may be, however they distribute that food to you. Today is the day they get back to doing it, and today is the day you can satisfy all those urges that have been going unsatisfied for the last, what it was, 2 months, 3 months. Well, really and truly off and on for the last year in a way, but for the food companies and for the missing of the restaurants, really and truly for the last 2 months in particular. Glad to see y'all also, well, figuratively see y'all after the weekend off. It was nice speaking mostly on TikTok, and I'll say this weekend was mostly about freedom if I were to summarize what a lot of the videos and the contemplations and discussions were on TikTok and Instagram to some extent. I was speaking about mostly the freedom in deciding vaccine choices and the freedom in deciding whether the vaccines may in fact be mandatory. And then ultimately, the last thing I spoke about in the last contemplation I did was on communism and the communism we have in Cuba and the difficulties that they have with that system there. And one of the problems with communism, I saw someone speak about the elections in Cuba and that China has elections also. And one of the difficulties with communism is that people aren't free. You see, the idea, I'm not going to go over the entire thing, of course, but the general idea with communism where all of us pool all our resources together and as you need, you get. You know, it sounds really, really kind and fair, but the problem is you need everyone to pool their resources. You have to force everyone to cooperate, and anyone that doesn't cooperate would cause the entire system to crumble. If everyone doesn't give all of their resources into the community pool, then the entire system can't work. So anyone who doesn't want to willingly give their resources must be forced and compelled to give their resources in communism. And that's where some of the most problems occur. When you take away that freedom from people, when you inhibit people from doing that freedom. And the other thing with communism is that one of the problems they have is trying to run the entire economy. It's very difficult for somebody millions of miles away to tell an individual what job they would do that would be most efficient to them helping themselves. So in the comments in the comments on the contemplation about communism, someone said that China raised 1 billion people out of poverty, and that is true, they did, and that is one of the miracles of the last 30 years. But we have to understand how they did it. They did it by opening up the freedom of their markets, allowing people to actually own private property. You see, one of the ways to actually raise people out of poverty is give them freedom. People generally tend to make choices that serve their own interest best if you allow them to do just that. So over here in Trinidad, the freedom is returning to us, the freedom to choose whichever food we so desire, and I'm sure we are all grateful for that freedom. And you'd see that generally speaking, if you allow that freedom, more people would be able to help themselves with this. We'd be able to increase the movement in our economy, and we need less help from the government. And it's only so much help the government can do. It's not like the government has an infinite amount of resources. I mean, our oil and gas gives us some, but even that is limited, and it may be in fact waning in some extent. But over in Guyana, their oil and gas is actually booming. For those who are not informed, Guyana has recently found quite a bit of oil reserves in their country offshore, and this is setting Guyana up to be a future petrostate and have that petrodollar flowing into their country, and they're already having some bonuses from that. If you're looking at the news over in Guyana, you'd see that in the last couple of weeks, Guyana has been having donations from the government to their citizens. They have been having grants. They have been having, I believe, some tractors have been given away in Guyana. Guyana is seeing that money flowing around, and as long as there isn't corruption in the country, I'm sure that a lot of Guyanese would see the benefit from this. But this discovery comes with its own difficulties. The president of Venezuela is now laying claim basically on 2/3 of Guyana. So let's read a bit of the article. The article is from Kaicha News Online. Guyana deemed vital for the future of Caribbean geopolitics. First and foremost is the discovery of oil offshore Guyana. It is estimated that Guyana's oil output could reach 1.2 million barrels per day by 2030, which would make it a rival to Venezuela, where production has radically declined. That could generate billions of dollars in revenues, catapulting what many had regarded as an economic backwater into petrostate status, and those changes would bring greater political and economic weight in Caribbean affairs. Guyana's nascent transformation from one of the poorest nations in the Western Hemisphere into a heavyweight energy producer has brought the world knocking on the country's door. The US has been active in providing support to Guyana, but the country has also gained greater attention from European and Asian countries, including China and India. President Nicolas Maduro has revived the long-harbored claims of roughly two-thirds of the English-speaking country. Venezuela's bellicosity derives from two things. The Maduro regime needs something to unify the country. During his time in office, the country has suffered from hyperinflation, a multi-year massive contraction of the economy, scarcity of basic staples, and a breakdown in law and order, which has led to over 5 million refugees fleeing what once was the wealthiest country in Latin America. Bearing in mind that some of those refugees that fled Venezuela, a lot of them fled to Trinidad and Tobago, and I believe 700 of them fled away again from Trinidad and Tobago, returning back to Venezuela sometime this weekend or late last week, citing the difficulties that they are facing in Trinidad and thinking that they may have a better chance over in Venezuela. And that's fair to them, but I mean, if it's for refugee status that you are here, that's not the same as if you came here just as a regular migrant to get some money and travel back. But either way, Venezuela is in some difficulties, and Venezuela is again another one of those. Well, I don't believe Venezuela may call themselves communist, they may call themselves socialist, but socialism and communism is nearly the same thing. Socialism only truly works to the fullest extent when it reaches communism. Socialism is nearly a plot to reach communism. That's the way I see it, and that's the way it seems to run in just about every country. There are some socialist principles that you can use in a free society, but to actually get a socialist government, you cannot allow a free society. Socialism, communism, and freedom don't actually go together. So Venezuela has their eyes set on two-thirds of Guyana right now, and they are saying that that is rightfully theirs. And that is almost surely to do with the fact that Guyana now has found oil. I'm pretty sure if that bit of Guyanese land and water was worth nothing, that Maduro, the president of Venezuela, wouldn't have had much interest in it. But now it's worth something, so interest is piqued in it. But it's worth something to Guyana, but it still may not even be worth as much to Guyana as it could be worth. You see, one of the difficulties when you're a smaller nation, like us Caribbean nations, is that you are at the mercy of the larger nations. When we are looking to sell oil, Guyana cannot sell oil to themselves. Guyana doesn't even drill the oil themselves, really and truly. They have foreign national companies come in, and those companies set up the infrastructure, and those companies have access to the markets, and those companies are the actual companies that do the business, and they pay the country that they are doing the business in, they pay them some money. Now, when you get that understanding and you see the abuse that goes on in that case, you can understand how tempting many of those ideals of communism and socialism actually gets the Venezuelans and the Cubans, etc. Because over in Guyana, they're already seeing some of this. I saw today, shore-based workers fired after complaints made public. That's an article in Kaicha News over in Guyana. And again, as usual, I'd attempt to post the link to all of these articles. And what they are saying is happening is that these workers came with a complaint. And they voiced their complaint to the newspaper before. The complaint was that the local workers are being paid less than the foreign workers, less than the expats. And for us over here in Trinidad, who are familiar with how the oil industry generally runs, that's not something unheard of. But these workers over in Guyana, they didn't like that. And the workers were comparing that they did the exact same work and were receiving a significant lower amount of money than the foreign nationals that came in. And they went to the newspaper and complained, and their company fired them. So they're already seeing some of that difficulty over in Guyana. With the money running in, there's lots of money to flow in, yes, but can you control the money that is flowing in? Can you control the multinational corporations that must come into your country? And you must give great concessions to allow them to move with great latitude within your country. And a lot of the resources, the percentage and ratio of the resources, where does it actually go? Where does the majority go? Does the majority stay in countries like Guyana, or does the majority go with the multinational company wherever their board and their executive is, and they cream off the majority of the value there? That's an interesting question to evaluate. And we can already see where the tendency leans when you're dealing with large corporations and large countries, and when there is the ability to take that advantage. Look at the vaccines. Look at how the vaccines are being shared right now in the world. There are countries with 10 times the amount of vaccines they need. There are countries looking to vaccinate babies, and there are countries that haven't received even one dose yet. And that inequity isn't unknown. Everyone knows this. It's a widely published fact. It's in a lot of these countries where they have those 10 times the dose, a lot of the kind people within those countries may be writing articles daily talking about this situation. And those in charge of making sure that this status quo remains that way continue allowing it to remain that way. So what do you think would happen if they are willing to do that with something such as the vaccine dole out and the vaccine sharing out? What do you think would happen with something such as resources in oil and gas sector? Of course, vaccine inequity inside the cutthroat race to secure doses. No one disputes that the world is unfair, but no one expected a vaccine gap between the global rich and poor that was this bad this far into the pandemic. Well, I'd like to speak to the no one who expected that and congratulate them, because I think I may have seen what that no one was seeing, and I could have expected that too, because once it is possible in this world, it seems like once it is possible for the richer nations to take some advantage of the poorer nations, by and large, they do it. And that's one of the tempting things with collectivism on the smaller nation side. That's why a lot of these smaller nations, a lot of the smaller countries like the collectivist idea. Collectivism is the principle over communism, socialism, and all those kinds of movements. The idea of collectivism is that the group is stronger than the individual. Collectivism works opposite to individualism. But the difficulty with collectivism is, if you've ever played a game of chess, you'd understand the difficulty with collectivism. The collective is the strong unit. We aim to win as a team. So I can sacrifice some of my pawns for the team to win. And that's great for the team. But if you're the individual pawn, remember, these aren't wooden or glass chess pieces we're talking about. These are human beings. An individual in this collective, if they are seen as the pawn, then they may be expendable. And that's one of the difficulties in those collective systems. As important as they may be for smaller countries, so again, for us like in the Caribbean, the CARICOM is such an important bargaining body. It's such an important bargaining body because we can now go to the global market and relate to people on the global market as a larger entity. We are now as a collective the Caribbean unit, and that is great. But even in CARICOM, you may have some member states could already complain if CARICOM becomes too strong as a unit, as an entity. There would already be some member states that would, of course, complain about losing their own individuality. And that's one of the difficulties when you're talking about freedom in relation to these things. The collective makes us stronger in bargaining and reasoning. We have better bargaining chips as a collective. That's the power of collectivism. But collectivism destroys the importance of the individual, and if we spend too much energy on the collective, the individual can be lost. And a lot of atrocities can be excused against the individual if you're only looking to the collective. Go research some of those communist countries. Check Soviet Russia, the Soviet Union in Russia. Check North Korea, check China, check Venezuela, check Cuba. And look at the atrocities that can be permitted against the individuals when you're looking at the good only of the collective. And you see some of the difficulties in it. But it's a very difficult thing to balance. Where do you think that balance is? Where do you think the balance is between collectivism and individualism? Because an individual cannot go out to the world and attempt to make a negotiation for, let's say, the vaccines for themselves. But this individual does need the vaccine, so that's the benefit of the collective. But we have seen also how the collective could take away from it. So you tell me, where exactly do you see that balance? If you haven't clicked that like button yet on the video, please do click that like button and drop that comment telling me what you think. Tune in tomorrow again for another video at 10 a.m.
Feel the music rising with the time.